Welcome to Path to Peace with Todd Perlmutter. I'm your host, Todd Perlmutter. Our world is a projection of our collective consciousness. The more peace we bring into our lives, the more peace we bring into this world. So let the transformation begin. There are a lot of elements in our society that put pressure on us to conform and to be a certain way. And there's even a large subgroup of this population where nonconformity is the conformity, and we feel pressure to rebel in order to be accepted by our peers, our families, our neighbors, and our societies. And in a world where we're just trying to figure out who we are, this can make it so much more difficult when we are being heavily influenced and pressured. We may not know where to draw the line, where to stand up for who we are, what our values are, what we know to be true for ourselves, and also living harmoniously in this society, this world we are born into. So here's the thing, the secret to really living within alignment within ourselves and free from that inner conflict that so many of us have gone through in different times of our lives. And that is to simply recognize that any crafted persona is not the real us. The people we all look up to and admire are able to step out of that mental strategizing and planning and are able to just embrace who they are in this moment. They stand out not because they rebel or are for something. They stand out because they are unapologetically free to be themselves. They stand out because they are free from the influence of society, and they trust their sense of who they are above others, and they trust themselves to make their own right decisions, that their choice, if it's made in the moment based on authenticity and not some contrivance, will be the right one. And this is something we all want. We want that freedom to be ourselves. We want that calm, relaxed sense of ease where we are comfortable in any situation, where we don't have to pretend or overanalyze. And this kind of relaxed confidence, even if you say something someone disagrees with, is the kind of refreshing honesty that people love to see because we don't see it enough. When we are truly unique, when we follow our genuine interests, we become magnetic, attractive, captivating, because no one knows what we're going to do, what we're going to say, but it's always interesting and it's always unexpected. And when it comes to celebrities, this is just intoxicating to see someone confidently be their unique self. And this is something we can all achieve and will unlock so many doors for us and completely open up our life to the path that was destined for us. This is something I know a great deal about because for most of my young life, I was just trying to fit in. I was just trying to be accepted, to have lots of friends, to check off everything on the life scorecard of lots of friends, packed social life, and live that kind of life that makes other people jealous or that the media reflects back to us as desirous. So I was like a jock in high school, short hair, clean shaven, trying to be very stylish, with whatever silly trend was popular at the time, feigning an interest in sports, and even music that I wasn't particularly fond of. But I just wanted friends, popularity, a good reputation, acceptance, approval. And it never even crossed my mind, are these good friends, good people whose approval I'm seeking? So of course, at the end of the day, I was not happy, fulfilled, or what I wanted most, which was confidence. It is impossible to be confident pretending to be someone else, because deep down, we know that's not who we are. And I had two kind of transformative moments in my life that really helped me tap into who I really was. And the first one was after high school, when I finally left my town I grew up, that was this big college sports town. Everybody was obsessed with sports, especially college sports. Every single person pretty much wears one of the two teams of the schools in that state. I went off to art college. And instead of being around sports lovers, I was for the first time around art lovers. And this just clicked with my soul. This was like a breath of fresh air, and I didn't even know I was suffocating. I was surrounded by people who liked the kind of music I liked, who thought a bit more deeply about life and its meaning. And we would talk about it, and we would find creative ways to express all that we had inside. The second turning point for me was as I started to become more spiritual, as I started to expand my awareness beyond the impulses of my mind, beyond immediate gratification, and beyond this sense of a separate self. And I started to see the oneness, the relationships, the connections that are more real in this universe than the illusion of a separateness. As this change started to happen in me, just coincidentally, my hair started to get longer without even planning on that, and my beard started to grow out. I felt this rich connection to the earth and the universe, and I started to expand that awareness to the foods I put in my body as well. And that is when life started to push back on me, and society tried to get me to conform. I started to get pulled over all the time for having long hair and a beard. I got stopped and frisked in New York, and I said, "Why are you guys searching me?" And they said, "Because you look like the Unabomber. You look like a new terrorist." Another gentleman who I was very close to, we were really good friends, uninvited for his opinion, decided to just tell me that he does not like men with long hair. Something that is not what I would tell a person to their face, but this is the kind of reaction that my new appearance elicited. And on top of just the surface level things, I would also be in awkward positions where if I'm over at someone's house and they're eating or drinking something that I no longer consume, and just the look on their face of disappointment, sadness, sometimes anger, especially when it was a friend's mom, they want you to eat all their food, and I just felt so terrible saying no, but I couldn't change. And I knew I wasn't harming anybody. And so I felt a great conviction to stick with this. And that's what I did. It has been the greatest decision I've ever made. I have never been happier. I have incredible friends who share this interest, or they are open-minded and lovely people in their own right. So here is how I did that. And this is the 4-step process for when society is forcing us to conform, where we feel pressure not to be ourselves, where we may live in a small town. We may not have a lot of social opportunities to find like-minded individuals who share our passions and interests. The first step is presence. So often, we feel that pressure to conform because we've been ridiculed or made fun of in the past, simply for being different. And the thought of being ourselves can be scary. It can be triggering and bring up that old trauma. And the more we can stay present with that trigger, with the feeling in the present moment of how that past is coming alive again, we're able to recognize that subconscious process that would normally dictate our conscious behavior and thoughts. And then instead of going down that rabbit hole of either that mental reaction that came from the past or reliving and rethinking about old painful situations, we can stay in this present moment. We can set aside any kind of analyzing, because if we are analyzing, we are not responding to our surroundings genuinely. And we are instead responding to a thought, a conditioned mental reaction, a plan to achieve, instead of flowing with this present moment and acting from our heart and our gut instead of just our mind. Any person who is very calm and relaxed is not constantly lost in their thoughts, trying to come up with the best answer or say the perfect thing. They are listening. They're really focused more on the other person so that whatever comes out of them is not filtered by the mind. It is filtered by the awareness and our conscious focus on the situation, the conversation, the other person. This is how we get out of our head, which is so important because our head, the thoughts, the ego, are all based in fear. And that fear and worry gets detected as discomfort and disingenuousness. And so we just turn our entire life into a meditation where we are relaxed, a light smile on our face, and we are fully engaged with the world around us, and we stay aware of our body, our breath. Are we tense? Are we holding on to stress? Are we holding our breath? Or are we relaxed and loose? This energy, other people can sense, they can detect it, and they will become relaxed. And they will just naturally be drawn to you. They will naturally become more themselves. And that's what we give permission to do in a world that is trying to get everybody to conform. The second thing that we can all do is expand our consciousness to consequences. Normally, we act in a way to bring about an outcome. We have one outcome that is desirable, and then in our mind, we have another outcome that we fear and resist. When it comes to being ourselves, we need to let go of that fear. We need to be comfortable losing some people who don't like the real us, and comfortable with the fact that that's okay and that it's inevitable. Nobody likes everybody. And for us to want everybody to like us is a form of insanity. It is an impossible goal. And whether we are ourself or some crafted persona that we think maximizes the number of people that like us, there will still be people that don't like us. That is not our concern. So we have to become okay that some people will fall away from our lives. And we have to stay true to who we are and be the person that simply does what we find most interesting, not what we think someone else will find most interesting. Because when we play that game of trying to be interesting to someone else, we will only follow trends, which is not interesting because somebody has already been and done that. So the more we follow our unique path, the more interesting we become. So expanding our consciousness to consequences means instead of responding to a person in a conversation with what we think will make them like us the most, we respond in a way that focuses on what we truly want in life, which is to be surrounded with good people, loving people who will not judge us, who will not use our true selves against us. And this is something that can only happen when we dare to be ourselves, which takes courage and bravery. But the moment we realize that there is no other way to have the life we really want, then it becomes effortless and natural. The third thing we need to do is to accept those outcomes. Yes, we may have a smaller friend circle. We may be judged at family events. But where is that judgment coming from? It comes from really a jealousy of someone else having the courage to be their true selves when they are living in fear. And so tearing people down who are higher than them brings them momentary pleasure. When we understand that and we expect it, then we can love our choices. We can feel content in aloneness, and we can be free from those preconceived ideas of how people should be, what kind of life we should have, and what kind of friends we should have. Here is a really simple trick to accepting our outcomes and to embrace them and to love them no matter what. And that is to recognize that whatever path in life we take, there will be pros and cons, positives and negatives. And so often we focus on the negatives of our own choice, and we imagine the positives if we had lived another choice. And we never focus on the negatives of that other choice that we may not even be aware of. And we focus even less on the positives in our situation. For example, we could have tons of friends, and we could feel like our lives are full of drama, so complicated, and just too stressful with all of these messy relationships. And we could long for a life of solitude and peace. But if we had that life of solitude and peace, we would be focusing on how we just need companionship, and this is too lonely, and I wish I did the other thing and had tons of friends, and that would have been a perfect life. The grass is always greener. And so the more we can pull up in our mind that yin-yang, that we can see the dark in the light and the light in the dark, and how both are essential and they form a wholeness, then whatever direction our life takes, we will love it with no regrets and no inner conflict that is so draining and exhausting. The fourth step is to stay loving and trust this universe. If we want to be ourselves and someone doesn't agree, but we are compassionate, we are kind, we are respectful, then what is going to happen when someone else disagrees with our lifestyle, they will actually be unkind to us in showing us their disapproval. And we will actually be kinder to show them a better way. If you are kind, you have nothing to worry about, nothing to fear, never have to worry about offending someone, never have to worry about treating someone poorly and regretting it or making a mistake. And you will have the freedom to be fully and completely yourself. And you can know with certainty that anyone who has a problem is simply repeating the same conformity message that has been drilled into their head. As long as we are not hurting anyone, we all have the same freedom to be exactly who we wish to be, which is who we already truly are, which is ourselves in every moment, free from thought. Because all thought is conditioned mental phenomena. When we engage with the universe as consciousness, our inner light shines. And we can know from everything we've seen and experienced in this magical universe that this is the only way to find the right people, to find those kind-hearted souls who don't judge, who don't criticize or talk bad about behind someone's back. Because people who are truly happy, who have freed themselves of inner conflict, only want to lift people up. And only people who are depressed and anxious and living a secret inner life out of fear want to bring people down to their level. There may be some difficulty as people who liked our fake selves no longer like our true selves. But living our lives with a small tribe is better than living with the wrong one. So be you, be the most you can be, and no one else can even come close. Much love. Thanks for listening. If you find some value in this podcast and you want to support us, you can go to eastwesticism.org to leave a donation. And it is truly because of people like you who keep this podcast running and the lights on in the studio. And thank you from the bottom of my heart. Also, a lot of people have reached out and asked where I'll be traveling next and if there'll be a book tour or some way to meet. And I really want to meet as many of you all as well. And also on eastwesticism.org, I've just created the Coffee with Todd page where you can fill out the form, and then I will try to meet as many of you as I can during some upcoming travels with the first Coffee with Todd in New York City. So you can go to that page, fill it out, and you'll get an email in the next couple weeks about when and where that first coffee will be. Hope you can make it. Can't wait to meet you in real life on this magical journey called life. Thanks again. You have been listening to Path to Peace with Todd Perlmutter. Being here and putting in this important and noble work is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself and others. If you found this podcast even a little helpful, please make sure to leave a review so it can reach others who may be in need. And remember, the path to peace starts with a single step.